social contract opens with the quote, "Man was born free, but everywhere he is in chains." The work asks the questions, how does one remain free while under the authority of a government? And what gives a government power? The answer he gives to this is the social contract that one enters into when the consent to be governed is given. The social contract is for the benefit of all people, and neither the contract nor any violation of it can infringe on our primitive rights and basic liberties. He stresses tolerance and the importance of participation rather than solely representation in government, as that can lead to the general will not being represented. Alright, so now let's learn a little about our author. Jean-Jacques Rousseau is the speaker and author of The Social Contract. He was born in 1712 in Geneva, Switzerland, and lived until 1778, when he died suddenly on July 2nd. He moved to Paris to become a musician and a composer, and was a prevalent Enlightenment philosopher, writer, and political theorist. His thoughts and ideas marked the end of the Age of Reason. He published his first social commentary, Discourse on the Origins of Inequality, in 1754, 12 years before he published The Social Contract in 1762.
During the time period starting in the late 1700s, Enlightenment ideals began to spread across the colonies and the minds of the American colonists. The colonies were governed by the Articles of Confederation at the time, and the document was not structured with a backbone. The American colonists began to hear the writings like The Social Contract written by Jean-Jacques Rousseau in 1762 and many other important writings and speeches by Enlightenment speakers. This was an eye-opener for many, and they began to change their expectations of their protection of rights leading up to the Bill of Rights. With all of this talk of change, political parties became a major factor in how elections and how states would vote. This is specifically what Rousseau's writing was about. He states that man is born free, but he is everywhere in chains. Rousseau asserts that states are kept away from the physical freedom that is our birthright. Rousseau believed no matter your political view, colonists should come together and make one decision for their main goal of their natural rights.
Why are we talking and who's listening? Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote The Social Contract for those under the rule of a tyrannical monarch who lacked the courage or reason to rise against their governments. He used his ideas to inspire a new form of government in the United States and an uprising in France. The purpose that the article served was to inform the people of how a government should behave in relation to their own.
Choices, Appeals, and Tone by Hannah Rimmel. Choices. Rousseau begins the piece with an assertive statement. Man was born free, but everywhere he is chains, in order to draw the reader in. Next, he describes the problems that are arising among the colonists regarding their rights, freedom, and power. After pointing out some of the various issues with the current state of the colonies, Rousseau advocates for a specific solution, the social contract. Appeals. In excerpts from Rousseau's Social Contract, Rousseau appeals to the audience through the use of pathos, which is also the use of emotion. When Rousseau states that, still, each man's power and freedom are his main means of self-preservation, how is he to put them under the control of others without damaging himself? He explains how a man's freedom and power is in danger of being taken away if the social contract is not put in place, which provokes panic and anger within the audience. Tone. At the beginning of the writing, Rousseau's tone is assertive, especially in his first sentence, which is obvious due to the fact that he is stating his opinions and observations as facts. For example, he states that this man believes that he is master of others, and still he is more of a slave than they are. Roughly halfway in, Rousseau's tone changes from assertive to admiring and excited. His tone changes once he starts to talk about how the social contract will benefit colonists and society overall, such as when he says, the social contract's terms, when they are well understood, can be reduced to a single stipulation. The individual member alienates himself totally to the whole community together with all his rights.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau's ideas of the social contract heavily influenced the American Revolutionary generation. They were inspired to recognize that the state exists only to serve the people, and the people are the source of all power enjoyed by the state. Eventually, many factors led to the revolutionaries breaking free of Britain, led by the ideology that government exists with the consent of the governed. Later, Jean-Jacques Rousseau's social contract became the basis for the current Constitution.